All right. Dead Man Stone Podcast. Your hosts, Mr. Deadman, Becky, and SK. How's it going?
Silence. I love it.
Yeah.
Nothing starts a show off better than a little bit of dead air.
I know why Becky's silent.
It's been a wild day.
I bet it has been, because I understand that you are accused of a serious grievance.
Well, according to Facebook, yeah.
And we all know Facebook doesn't overreact.
No.
I mean,
And you know what else? You know what else?
What?
We have a guest.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Nix. How did I forget about Mr. Nix?
Oh.
Hey, Mr. Nix, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you
What?
on a scale of 1 to 37?
2.
1 to 37. I'm feeling like a 38. I'm feeling pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah.
Back to
You gotta
the
let
chicken.
your belt. You gotta let your belt out another notch, do you, Jesse?
You know what? I'm actually doing the stream butt ass naked. So there's that.
my God.
I can't get any looser than what it already is. I mean, yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
There's a visual cue for you right there. Oh, by the way, real fast, shout out.
I'm gonna need some Pepto-Bismol after that.
Yeah, well, you know.
Aww.
Okay, shout out real fast. Monsters vs. Nazis is finally out. Monsters vs. Nazis.
Who wins?
Well, I don't want to give it away, but I think Becky's poem gives it
right.
away. I think that's why Facebook removed it. I mean, you could get
Glorifying the Nazis? Come on, Becky.
this. Becky's poem was so
Damn
bad.
it.
It glorified the Nazis. It hated kids. It was,
It was written in blackface.
yeah, it was written practically. Yeah, it was written in blackface
And
Come on.
naked.
and naked. Just the worst thing ever. With a little dash of praising Hitler. But might as well just throw that in there, okay? Not just the Nazis, okay? We'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit. And then what else we got? Oh, we got to talk about. Hey, Mr. Nix, did you know that there's a book out there called "Destroy a Man Now"? How to destroy a man now?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. This book is amazing. It's a step-by-step guide on how women can destroy any man who has any sort of power. How to create allegations and how to go forth and smear his name.
Yeah.
I've never had any power. I just assume,
Yeah.
that women have all the power anyway, but
But
I
wait a
might
second.
be wrong.
You're a white man. You have all the power. Just-
Guess what?
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 You have 10 likes.
Oh shit! That means I
Dun,
have to
dun, dun.
take a shot of absinthe. I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't even prepare. Let me get that stuff. Okay, wait a second.
We've barely begun and you're already at 10.
Man, that's amazing. Okay, wait. I'm looking right here and wait a second. Is this really Mr. Nix, or did I get this wrong again?
It's Brian Meeks.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Meeks.
God, man, I'm sorry.
What kind of reading program do you take down there in Texas anyway?
It's a special. It's
You
a
ever-
special one. I was homeschooled by my mom. Okay, my mama homeschooled me. Okay.
Oh, see, damn it. Now I can't insult your schooling if your mom did it.
Exactly.
Yes,
right.
you can.
She might actually be a nice mom, even though she raised Jesse.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
It could happen.
And I don't have anything to say to that. It is what it is. Okay. Hey, all right. While I get the absinthe already, Mr. Meeks, who are you?
Yes,
And what do you do?
I'm a full-time author. I started in 2001 writing fiction just as a series of blog posts. Wrote about 7 novels before it really started to grow, and then I used AMS ads to be able to quit my day job that led to a book, Mastering Amazon Ads, which has done well. And I've recently released Mastering Amazon Descriptions, the art of copywriting to help people write descriptions that will get new readers to give their books a try.
So copywriting, that doesn't mean plagiarism, does it?
No, that would just be copying writing.
Okay.
Very, very good. No, that's a reasonable question. Copywriting is simply the art of presenting a product in such a way that people will give it a chance.
Awesome. And like, what's hilarious is how many posts I see almost on a weekly basis from authors who get to the point of, yay, like the day after they've typed the end and they make the big announcement. I typed the end, yay!
Sure.
The next day, fuck, I got to write the blurb.
That is the little known scourge of indie publishing. We all hate it. I once put off publishing a book for 60 days, and I'm not rounding. That's 60. Every day I woke up, everything was done. I had the ISBN was figured out and registered. I had the book edited, uploaded, the cover art. There was one box that remained empty on the dashboard, and it was a description. Every day for 60 days, I put it off, and then finally I wrote 200 words of just horrible synopsis, hit publish, and my book was live. And for 60 days, I didn't publish my book because I hated it so much. That was the catalyst that turned me around, because I reached out to Sean Platt, who, before he was a writer, was a world-class copywriter. And I told him the story. I said, I just can't do that ever again. I need to learn about copywriting, because I felt if I understood what copywriting was about, it wouldn't be so scary for me, and I wouldn't then procrastinate. And sure enough, now I love copywriting.
Well, I imagine it's like a lot of things where, when you don't know how to do it, it's scary as shit.
Yeah.
But once you figure out, the rules and how it works, then it stops being terrifying.
And that's what I'm hoping to do with the book, is to lay it out so people can understand why certain things work and the mechanism about how they work. Because in this day and age, with Facebook, social media, Twitter, we've all had our attention spans fractured.
Man.
We look at things, we click like, we go on to next thing. Instagram, love.
What was that you just said?
Exactly. And it's hard. And the irony of descriptions is that the person that is reading the description,
mm-hmm.
they intend to buy a product where they're going to sit alone for several consecutive hours and just enjoy the reading. Yet, they can't be bothered to read a lengthy description. They don't have the time. So until their brain turns into, the kids are in bed mode and I can take time and read, when they're on Amazon, it's just like on Facebook. They want the information now. You need to hook them. You need to draw them through the description and get them to the end where you ask them to buy, and it works. The difference between a typical description will convert at 1 in 30, meaning a new reader every 30 people that looks at your description, to 1 in 8 to 1 in 10. And you don't need to be a math genius to know that even if you hate math, would you rather pay for 10 clicks to get a new reader to try your book or 30 of them?
Wow. You really study this.
Hold on, I'm working this out here.
Yeah.
Carry the 2.
Well, I mean, that's my background, is data analytics.
Okay.
So
now,
I have succeeded because I understand math and I like doing the research.
Okay, now I'm sure there's some listeners. Just make sure, because I'm taking you and I'm hearing this. I'm like, okay, this sounds great. Now I'm sure there'll be some skeptics, and people be like, okay, wait. So he's been doing copywriting for a while. He's talking about writing descriptions, but is it working for him? Is he given this knowledge to other people? Has it helped others?
Hundreds of descriptions.
Okay.
The best example, I stopped doing it this year because I wanted to get back to writing fiction. But for the previous 18 months, I had a couple clients. And one of the clients, when he came to me, he writes, he had quite a few books. And his monthly revenue was $4,000 on $1,200 in Facebook ad spend. He reached out to me.
Does that sound upside down a little bit?
I'm not sure. He spent $1,200 on Facebook ads.
Oh, 1,200. Okay, gotcha.
$1,200
Wow.
and he had $4,000 in revenue.
So he's doing okay.
He was doing okay. But his descriptions were horrible. We spent 3 months before we started running AMS ads, because that's why he reached out to me, was because he wanted the AMS stuff. And so before we started that, we spent 3 months. I rewrote and coached him through rewriting some of the others, all of his descriptions. We redid all of his back matter. I have a whole separate set of research on back matter art. And that's all we did. And after 3 months of just working on that, we went from 1,200 Facebook spend, 4,000 revenue, to 0 Facebook spend and 7,000 in revenue.
Holy crap.
Wow.
We got rid of all of his Facebook spend
Sweet.
because the analysis we did was that the Facebook ads were not actually converting. And so while he was spending money on them, he wasn't generating anything from the Facebook ads. So we got, and this is not an indictment on Facebook ads. It's an indictment on how he was doing Facebook ads, because they can be very successful. And I want to be clear about that. But the way he was doing them was a war crime. And so we got rid of all the Facebook ads and went from 4,000 to 7,000 in, because now all the organic he was getting, because he did release every month. So he had that engine going, and the organic he was getting would then convert. And then we started doing AMS ads and progressed from there. And then after about, it was in the end of last year, I told him, I said, you know what, you don't need me anymore. And he's now doing it on his own, and it's fine. But that's
how much
the
do
most
you
extreme
cost? Because now I'm listening
I'm ridiculously expensive, and I just don't do it anymore because I missed writing fiction. When I had the clients, what I did is it was more coaching. I didn't actually write any of the ads. I would analyze all of his data and then give him, okay, write these 70 ads this week, do it this way, let's touch on these things. He did all the work. And it was still taking a ton of my time because I was spending a couple hours a day analyzing his data. And I just kind of wanted to get back to fiction. So now I spend that time writing.
Okay. Can you drop the name of that book? I want to take is that book on Amazon right now?
Yeah, Mastering Amazon Descriptions.
No, the name of the book that was like, it went from this to went to that.
Oh, well, no, this was over his entire catalog. And I
catalog? Okay.
Yeah, so he was, across all of his books, he was doing 4,000. But no, I don't want to give away his, because I've been talking about his financials. So
okay, yeah. No, I just wanted to take a look at Amazon.
And
gotcha.
He's doing actually better. But the point is that, folks are more than welcome to go look at Henry Wood Detective Agency. Now, I have to say that in July 15th, when I launched Mastering Amazon Ads, I turned off, ironically, all of my ads and let all my sales drop to near zero because I wanted to do research. And so I've got 12 fiction books that I only run ads for when I am trying new concepts in advertising or studying back matter. I spent 3 months just doing analysis on back matter and changing things up. My background is data analytics, and I make enough money to live, and so I have the flexibility to do the research I want to do. I don't need the revenue from my fiction. But that being said, now 2019.
But that's what you like, yeah.
But that's my passion. And don't cry for me, Argentina. I have a course that's doing well, and like I said, I make a fine living, but I'm doing what I love.
And just to clarify real fast, for any naysayers in the chat or listeners, now, and I don't want to put you on blast, put you on the spot, but are you making a living off your work?
Oh yeah, I've been a full-time author for
okay
3.5 years.
Okay, because this subject is great. I'm glad we have you on to talk about this because, as you know, just about every indie author, and you mentioned this before, they struggle on this description. They struggle on selling the book, and they blame all sorts of stuff. They blame everyone. They even blame themselves. But it's like the description. I mean,
right? I mean, you kind of have a sense that it's pretty important, but you don't think of it having that sort of an impact. That it's that kind of a magnitude.
I have some data from my own books and my own sales. So when I launched Mastering Amazon Ads, at that point in my life, I had spent $45,000 on AMS ads, and they had generated in fiction sales over $200,000 in fiction revenue. So, so it did very well. Now, during that period, I launched that book that I told you about, where I spent 60 days. After I started learning about copywriting, I redid my first description on my thriller, and then I did my detective series, and I just kind of worked through my different genres one at a time so I could watch the data. Now, after about a month, I had redone the descriptions, and the conversions, like I said, they had been 1 in 30 to 1 in 35, and they immediately went to 1 in 10 to 1 in 12, and this is across my young adult, I've got science fiction, mystery, thriller, and satire. So I had a good mix of genres. They all behaved the same. It was proper copywriting, moves the needle. And I went back, because I keep data. I'm a data junkie. I went back and looked at, had I pulled the trigger on learning copywriting 12 months earlier, and then looked at my number of clicks I had during that 12 months, recalculated what I would have converted on as far as number of books that would have been sales, number of books that would have been KU downloads. If I had done it 12 months earlier, I would have made $60,000 more dollars. I left $60,000 on the table because I just didn't know how to do copywriting.
Wow.
Okay, so wait. Before I go take another shot of absinthe.
I mean, 60 here, 60 there. It takes a while to add up.
Okay.
Well, again, don't cry for me, Argentina, because I'm an optimist. I look at it like when I had that number, I didn't say, "Oh, woe is me, I left $60,000 on the table." Again, I was making more money than I was spending, and living my dream, being a full-time author. So I didn't care about that as much. What my brain said was, "Oh my God, what if you had waited 5 more years?"
Okay, I have so many questions. So many questions.
That was
what is going into a good description? Like, how do you because let's just say a particular horror novel, or let's just say the Monsters versus Nazis thing that just came out. I mean, like, how do you analyze the description to make it be the best it could possibly be? Like, what are you looking
question. That's an absolutely great question. The template, for lack of a better word, I don't really like the word, but it's kind of what I've done, is I tend to focus on the opening line needs to be a hook. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. I learned copywriting from a book by a guy named Joseph Sugarman. It's called Ad Week, and then it's got, ironically, the subtitle is like 1,000 words. It's the worst copywriting in a title ever. But his book is considered the Bible of copywriting. And it's all about copywriting in the 60s and 70s, print media. And his main driving idea was the first line has one job. That's to hook the reader enough that they will read the second line. And so I'm always thinking about that. If your first line isn't good enough to get them to read the second line, you've already lost the battle. So my descriptions tend to have 3 very short lines, and the length of the line, that's come from my own research. I want a person, when they're looking at my description, that first line, to be able to look at the center letter, whichever letter is in the middle of that line, and their peripheral vision should be able to read the whole line without moving their eyes. The idea being,
oh man,
when a person clicks on your ad, or if they just find it organically, or however they get to your page, we've got so little time to capture their attention that I don't want them to have to move their eyes. I want it to be, bam, they've got it with the first line. They read it whether they're trying to or not, and they get to the second line, then the third line, and then they click read more.
I think of an idea.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to rewrite I'm going to rewrite a lot of my descriptions this week after hearing this.
Hey, you go get the damn book and do it right.
Well, here we have.
That's what I'm going to do.
I have 40 examples in the book. In each one, I have the original description as it was written by the author, and then some analysis of it. Then I rewrite the description and my analysis of my rewrite, what I was going for. Can I take a moment to read the best description I've ever written? Because I think it illustrates.
Feel free to. Go ahead and do that. SK Becky, you'll hold the fort. Let me prep the other absinthe shot for one moment.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So for anybody that wants to see the description, on Amazon, the book is Henry Wood Detective Agency. And please don't click on my ad, do the organic search, but don't make me pay for you going to look at it. I hate the thought that, all of a sudden after this airs, I'm going to have 100 clicks with 0 sales and mess up my data. But
this is the sound of me clicking the mouse 1,000 times.
So what I want people to understand is, I'm going to go through this description and talk about all of the things that are going on in my mind here. And this is my third description. So the first one I had converted at 1 in 30. Then I rewrote the description after I learned copywriting and got it down to between 1 in 10 to 1 in 12. This description now converts at 1 in 8. And it is kind of my most cutting edge of all my descriptions. Okay, so here we go. The first line, and I want people to understand, the formatting I use is as important as the words. And I will talk about the formatting when I get done with this, and we'll cover that separately.
Hey, before you start, I want to toss out a couple of questions from the comments that you can address as you feel that it's the right time. Okay?
Yeah, fire away. Yeah. Sounds good.
One was, what's the toughest genre to push ads for?
I would think, well, I guess it depends on the person's definition of toughest, because if they're talking about competitive, meaning the most other authors who are also running ads, thus the competition is such that it drives up the cost per click, then I would say, of all the ones I've seen, it's probably romance. That's an incredibly competitive area, but romance readers, on the flip side of the coin, are voracious readers. And so if a romance author has a long series, they probably have good read through. And so you can afford to spend more because you're making more when you get a new reader. So again, toughest is hard to say. The hardest, I think, from overall the genres is children's, like middle grade, because middle grade are often like picture books, which is hard because you're writing a description that is geared towards not the end reader. The end reader is going to be the child, or maybe it's the parent that is going to read the book to the child, but the description has to be geared toward the parent. And so you might not be selling the book as much as selling a concept about what buying this book is going to do for bettering your child's life. So it's an entirely different strategy. The best person out there right now, there's a woman named Lori Wright who took my course. She read my book. I've known her since I started the group back in February of 2017. She bought me lunch just 2 weeks ago. And she's working with middle grade authors right now, helping them because it's a unique way to advertise, and the descriptions are unique. And so it's a tough thing to answer because all different genres have their own challenges. I hope that helps the person, but I don't know necessarily what they meant by toughest.
No, that's a good answer. The other question, roughly how many words should a solid description be?
Well, right now I'm going to highlight my description and I'm going to see how many words it is. This is a fairly typical as far as the length that I write. So just give me a moment and I will answer that question because I've never actually looked at the word count. That is a great question. And who's the person that asked it?
Kelly Evans.
Kelly Evans.
She's been on our show. She's been on my Real Monsters show. She's a great guest and guest host.
Okay, well, Kelly Evans, I'm going to say that I would estimate the one I'm about to read is 138 words. I would say in the 130 to 160 range is kind of what we're going for. But again, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, it is about how you present those words as much as the words themselves. So any other questions before I give the Henry Wood Detective Agency description a read?
Take it away.
Okay. First line, Henry knew one thing, ... Now, before I go on, I want to say that I frequently misuse ellipses in my descriptions. I also misuse capitalization because I don't care about the grammar rules. I care about hooks and the way your eye moves through things and attracting people. So Henry knew one thing, ... Now, that's 4 words. If you look at the W in the middle, you can see the whole bit, and nobody is going to read the line, Henry knew one thing, and stop, because the ellipses tells you there's more information. Your brain is triggered to go to the next line, and you want to know what the one thing is. There's too much curiosity there. So it's job, get me to line 2. Let's start over. Henry knew one thing, dames were trouble. Next line, would this client be the exception? ? That's all there is above the fold.
Answer, no.
That could be the answer. The point is, there's only 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 words above the fold. There's 2 blank lines. There's 3 short lines. It's very easy to get them to clicking read more. So, again, from the top, Henry knew one thing, dames were trouble. Would this client be the exception? She walked in, sat down, crossed her legs, and asked for a light. Boy, could she cross a leg. Before the woman had told him why she needed a detective, Henry wondered if she was playing him. It was something about her. The red lips and smoldering eyes were just a little too perfect. She knew how to get away. And the dress, ... She wore a Dior dress would make an hourglass self-conscious. Was it the Damsel in Distress Act? This was the second one he'd seen this week. Something wasn't adding up. 1955 was going to be an interesting year. You'll love this noir mystery with a twist because everyone loves a broken detective trying to do what's right. Get it now. That description keeps people engaged the whole way through, and at no point in my book description do I mention what's going on in the book. That is hard for people to get around, and it's the biggest stumbling block for people learning how to do their descriptions properly. Is you've just created this wonderful book and you're excited to tell everybody all the things that are in it. And so people will list off all the plot points. And then I get to the end, I'm like, well, that was a great book. Thanks for saving me the $4.99. I don't have to buy it. And so, again, this description at the top, the second line, dames were trouble. The word dames is chosen because it takes place in 1955. When you see the word dames, you know it's not a modern book because nobody uses the word dames anymore.
Yeah, puts you in a certain mindset.
Yeah, the cover is sort of an Art Deco period cover. Would this client be the exception? ? Nobody is going to stop there. It gets them to the next bit, which is paints a little bit of a story. Then, was this the Damsel in Distress Act? ?
I think
This was the second one he had seen this week. And it's the second part that is the hook. Because now the person wants to know, well, what was the first damsel in distress? Well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. You got to buy the book.
Yeah.
And then we get down to the end, and the last component that's important is 1955 was going to be an interesting year. Then it says, you'll love this noir mystery with a twist because everyone loves a broken detective trying to do what's right. In this sentence, you got the word you and because. There was and I can't find it again. I don't know where it went, but many years ago, there was a post on Copy Blogger, and I'm sure there's other posts out there talking about the power words in copywriting. And those words in this post, and again, I feel badly I can't cite the author, but he or she did a great job with it. They talked about you, now, instantly, free, and because as being the most powerful words in copywriting. But
powerful words in copywriting. Okay. That's cool.
The you and because were interesting because a study had been done where A/B testing you because sentences, and in the A1 it would have something that made sense coming after the because, and in the B1 there it was really it didn't really have anything to do with anything. And there was no impact on conversion between the one that was the before and after. It seems like it's getting really loud there. Is there vacuuming going on?
No, I think that's on Becky's side. No, we're okay.
Becky, hold still.
Not doing anything.
Fidgeting.
We're okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. It got really loud there for a bit. Anyway, the point is, I get down to the end of the description, which technically is 1955 was going to be an interesting year. That's the point at which I stopped talking about the book. And then I try to bring the reader in. You, the reader, is going to love this because, and the fact that I use because means it must be true. Get it now. And then the call to action.
Oh,
People
man.
don't like calls to action.
I think I'm getting this. I think I'm understanding this. I need to go over my descriptions and put like the beginning hook question. Have a very short, bring it down to a tweet. Bring it down to like a very 4-word question, right?
And I like to keep them under 6 words. And so if my opening hook though is 8 or 9 words, then I will break it in half and use the ellipses.
I gotta say, Brian, if Jesse's getting what you're teaching, then you're really good at explaining this.
well, I'm glad.
It's so mean.
That's what I talk about in the book. And like I say, there's 40 examples. And one of the examples, can I tell a story about the copywriting miracle?
Feel free to.
Absolutely. We like stories.
What is the copywriting miracle?
I've got this group, Mastering Amazon Descriptions, like my Mastering Amazon Ads group on Facebook. Anybody can join.
Oh, you have a separate group for that?
I do. Mastering Amazon Descriptions.
Going to join that.
Join now. And I have a couple. Somebody else will probably approve it before I even get off the show. So in that group, a woman had bought the book, and she had, I don't remember if it was Kindle or print version, and she posted in the group, she said, I'm reading the book. I'm loving it. I've been reading nonstop. I got to chapter 43 and I couldn't go on. Okay, that's a great opening hook. And she'd done it with the proper copywriting, which in the book I talk about. The point of this book is not to teach you how to rewrite your description. It's to make you a copywriter so that everything you do, whether it's your description, your newsletter,
yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Is better. And so she used copywriting in her post, and she said, I can't go on. The book doesn't include links to the books that are the examples. And it never occurred to me that authors reading these examples might want to read the book. And she said, I need the link to chapter 43. So I happened to see this post just as she put it up. I went to Amazon. I got the link. I posted it in there. I hit submit. A minute later, she comes back and she said, I bought the book. I can now continue reading your other description. And she said, you know what's interesting, though? In my entire life, I have never owned a cookbook. I've never wanted a cookbook. It's never occurred to me to buy a cookbook. And when I got to chapter 43, your description on that cookbook, I had to buy it. So I was able to sell an author a book they didn't want or they didn't know they wanted.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't looking for a cookbook. She was just reading description, and she bought it. So that is probably my proudest copywriting miracle.
That's awesome. Now, just to reinforce, just to make sure, because of course there's naysayers in the chat. You know, there's always writers or authors that, I don't know, that the indie scene is difficult. The indie scene is very difficult.
They say, hey, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion.
So just to, I guess, I think we'll help them understand that you are, you're definitely practicing what you preach. It's working for you. Once again, the your fiction books, how well are they doing?
Well, again, I don't try to sell my fiction books.
Okay.
I just use them for research. So they're all doing crap. But but the point is that I did 200,000 in sales over 18 months before I turned them all off and started using them for research. But the value of the research that I've done, I have a book. My main series, the first thing I ever wrote was the Henry Wood Detective series. That book, it always converts as far as the read through from book 1 to book 2 at the same level.
Okay.
And so I started doing research into improving back matter. And I had some theories because everybody does back matter the same way. And I had some theories on some different ways to approach back matter. So
would you take a second to describe what you mean by back matter?
Okay, back matter's what comes after the end. So when you get to the end of your book, it says the end, what comes next. Everybody has either why don't you answer the question? What comes after the end in your book?
A book, the cover for the next book, I can't remember.
Well, the
author bio,
Patreon page, the podcast thing,
links,
other books,
links, author bio. People put in letters. They put in chapters to the next book. There's a lot of things that people do fairly consistently, and I wanted to research of all of the things that they do. Is there a way to optimize it such that you improve your read through? And I have 5 series, and I have succeeded in improving the read through substantially on my books. And when you understand the math behind whatever your read through is, whether it's 50% go from book 1 to book 2, 75%, 91%, if you improve that by 2 or 3 points, meaning from 50 to 52 or 91 to 93, over the life of your book, because once people get to book 2, the read through is typically on most series like 90%. So if you get them to book 2,
that's the big gap, right? That's the crucial gap.
Exactly. And so again, I wanted to have clean data and use my books where I was advertising them to get read through data and doing things. And so I spent a lot of time on that. The point is, I just, they don't need to believe me. That's fine. And then don't buy my book too. That's also fine. I just know that over the last couple of years, I've helped a ton of authors. Lori Wright is now a full-time author doing middle grade books because we started with AMS ads and redoing her descriptions, and now she's able to make a living off of her middle grade books.
Gotcha.
And that's a really hard market to track. But better than just believing me. This is what I would tell everybody, and I have a chapter in the book on how you do the math. just test it yourself, because you shouldn't believe anyone. What you should do is take something that looks like it's a good idea, try it out, save your data, compare it to the before and after, and do the math. I have one example in the book where he had been converting at around 1 in 30, and we changed the description. It got to 1 in 27, which is technically an improvement, but it's not that great of an improvement.
Oh man,
and so
you went better.
So we had a conversation, and I said, how important is it in the book, the sale and trading of organs? Because that's what the description that we had worked on and created. His original was all about organ harvesting. The new description was more hook about organ harvesting. But I told him, I said, when I got done reading that description, it kind of turned my stomach. And he said, well, it's only about 20% of the book. And I said, well, then let's take out all references to organ harvesting and rewrite the description, because I think it grosses people out. And so we did, and he sent me back a message that it's doing much better. And so even if you're doing what I'm saying, you still need to watch your own numbers, and you need to do the math and understand that sales, if you're in KU, if you're exclusive, sales are the least important of the two types of conversions.
You want page reads?
You need page reads, right?
Yes, page reads. You need to convert them to downloads.
Like I get a lot of page reads on my Lovecraft books. I mean, it's like Lovecraft is a big keyword, it's like they do well. I mean, what about for horror? Like, have you been following the trend for horror? I mean, do you have any suggestions there?
What do you mean by trend?
Well, like with horror, because of course there's a lot of horror writers that listen to the show, and that it seems like, I don't know. What's your thoughts on the horror genre? Like how things. I mean, is it more difficult to write a good description for a horror book? Because no.
It's not more difficult to write a description for a horror book or a lawnmower. I wrote a description of a new Netflix show that the other night, just because I practice copywriting all the time. And let me just see if I can find it. This is okay. Can I read you a bit of copywriting for a Netflix show?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you copyright for real. Okay, this is for real. We can see the show.
This wasn't on behalf of Netflix. This was me. Found a new show, and I wanted to tell people about it. I could write a normal Facebook post, or I could use proper copywriting and get people to engage. So This is what I preach in the book, is that if you're going to do something, do it with copywriting, because it makes you a better copywriter, which will help your book business. So here, first line, 5 words. I found a delightful show. It's a Netflix original. Taking place in London, our hero, Charlie, a down-and-out one-hit DJ, is trying to turn his life back around. His childhood mate moves back to London, and they reconnect. But it's the mate's bratty daughter that changes his life. Can Charlie change her life? If you like a story about struggle, redemption, and finding out what's important in life, you'll love Turn Up Charlie. Watch it now. And then my last line is, how was that for some proper copywriting?
I remember that post. Yeah, it made me want to. It really did make me want to go watch the show.
Exactly. I have another example where a guy, I live, like I said, on the Las Vegas Strip, and a guy in my building. He is a professional photographer that works in the gaming casino industry. So he does photo shoots and stuff for the various casino systems that they will use on billboards and things of that nature. I mean, he's a serious photographer. His camera gear is $180,000. It's large format, which you need to have it be high enough resolution for the size of billboards that exist in the electronic billboard. And so, I mean, he's a serious guy. Well, there was one gig that he had tried to get, and it's something that they do 3 or 4 times a year. They shoot, and I'm not going to mention which group it was, but he had never been picked. And I told him, let's use copywriting in your next submission letter. And the submission letter is really just kind of a bio of the author, because it's a small community. They all know the work, or not the author, I mean the photographer. They all know the photographers. There aren't that many people that do this sort of work. And so I wrote his bio / introductory letter, and he got the job. It took me 20 minutes. It was the first time it had success. This was a 2-week photography job that paid $100,000.
Woo!
So it works for, I haven't really done one for a lawnmower, but I'm sure I could sell lawnmowers better than they're sold now.
So as I'm listening to you talk about this, I write occasional articles for a media website, and I'm thinking, man, what a great way to start the articles so that people will actually read them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. You should absolutely do that. In fact, I mean, I don't do guest blogging much anymore, but there was a period like back before I was full-time as an author, like several years before, where I was doing a lot of guest blog posting on various sites. And I would do 3 or 4 times a year one on this pretty large PR firm site. And my posts always crushed it. And at the time, I didn't realize I was using proper copywriting. It was just stylistically, those posts, the way I wrote them was to get people hooked in. And it works. So yes, if you're doing that, you should absolutely be using copyright.
Like anywhere, pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere, because, okay, let's talk about people's lists. So you've got a list, you've got a bunch of horror readers that like your stuff. If you use proper copywriting, when your reader opens it up and they get hooked and they make it all the way down to the end, that's a satisfying experience for them. The more of those you give the reader, the more often they're going to open your newsletter.
Man.
If you get more opens to the newsletter, then your whole life changes. So
Gotcha.
You should be using it as practice when you're commenting on somebody just posted a picture of their new puppy. Well, don't just say congrats or that's excellent. Write something snarky, have an opening hook, and I give 10, I think 8 or 10 examples of articles. Well, I call them articles. They're just posts that I've done on Facebook in the 20 books to 50K group. And those are in the book because I
also a great group.
Yeah, I want to demonstrate that copywriting is powerful anywhere. When I used to write stuff on 20 books to 50K, I would typically get around 50 likes and 8 to 10 comments. Now my posts average between 500 and 700 likes and loves, and usually 200 to 300 comments.
And that's with the power of copywriting.
That's with the power of copywriting. And some of the posts are as many as 1,500 words long, which is a massive quantity of information to put in a Facebook post and get 700 people to read it all the way down to the end, and then 300 people to leave a comment. And I use open loops, which is a copywriting technique where you hint at something. Oh, I've got this great set of knives that will change your life, and it will help get your daughter into college. But before I explain that, let me tell you about where we source the wood for the handles from.
See now
the
I'm
open
caught
loop.
in.
You're hooked. You want to learn copy.
Yeah.
You want to buy my book.
Yeah, you put me in that. You mesmerized me with those words, and then I'm like, wait. But then I stopped myself. I'm like, wait a second. I don't want to buy any fucking knives.
Yeah, you do. Now you do.
I need to get into Cutco and start selling their knives.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Like I haven't, I watch Mad Men. So I'm hearing all this copyright. So I'm thinking Mad Men. I'm thinking like, man, okay, how am I supposed to write this ad? How am I supposed to frame this? Okay, I really have to check out your book, Mastering Amazon Descriptions, and then you have Mastering Amazon Ads.
Which I'm currently in the process of updating and bringing it current, but that's going to take me a couple months because I'm doing more research because things have changed on Amazon Ads, and so the Amazon Ads book is still a large portion of the book is about understanding how one deals with their data, because most authors don't come from an analytics background. And so it's teaching people to how to learn how to calculate read through, what you should be watching for your numbers, how to look at trends and things like that. I know that doesn't sound exciting, but it's because of my ability as a data analyst that I've been able to be successful. I'm not as good a writer as a Michael Ondelay or Craig Martell. They tell better stories. They're better at the craft than I am, but
you know how to.
I'm great at analytics. I am able to find the readers, and I had one.
And believe me, authors need your knowledge.
Yeah, they do.
We all need this information that you have in your head.
Yeah, well, that's why I wrote the books, and I've got a course that is it's my Mastering Amazon Ads course, but it's technically we talk very little about AMS ads. It's about research, how to set up a test, how to do the copywriting stuff that we've been talking about. That's where I don't really tell anybody the stuff I learned about back matter, except in the course. That's exclusive because I have given up some revenue by not selling my books so I could get proper research data.
Yeah.
So I have to leave a little bit.
Wow,
I can't give everything.
That's good stuff.
It's it is something that I believe I can help people. I love authors. I love the community, and so a portion of my life is doing the nonfiction stuff, and then now I'm getting back into writing a 10-book epic fantasy series, and I've just finished my 3rd book this year on March 16th. So I'm writing them at 25 days is my pace right now, and I'm pretty happy.
You wait 25 days? Am I hearing that right? A new book every 25 days?
That's the pace I'm on, and that's my goal for the year.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you ever have time to sleep or eat? Or
I do. I do all of those things. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day writing or thinking about writing, and then the rest of my time is doing other things related to the book business, or I've been trying to lose weight. I'm down like 30 pounds over the last 5 months. So
do you have analytics on that?
I do. Absolutely.
I believe him.
Everything.
I believe him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, like hold on. I know this is just pretty much an audio-heavy podcast show, but the guy, Mr. Meeks has a video on, and like his setup, I was impressed. He has like 5 different monitors. I mean, this guy is serious. I mean, I'm sure every screen has something going on, right?
Yeah, the thing about the thing about multiple monitors for me is it's partly about doing analytics. It's nice to be able to have several Excel things open at the same time, but mostly the system I have in the back is what I use for audio and video when I'm doing editing for things on my course or what have you, because you need different screens to have Photoshop up on one, and then your audio editor and all of that. It's helpful. Plus, I just geek out over this stuff. I love tech.
Man,
it's often a problem. Some people have addictions to alcohol or drugs. I have a problem with
alcohol.
Bluetooth keyboards. I have a Bluetooth keyboard buying problem. I can't. Oh my God, I have so many keyboards. And
so, do you have one of those that are like styled after the old typewriters?
Ooh,
no, but I've seen one that's like $170.
I know they're super expensive.
Lusting out. There's one that's like $900.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's
a wicked one too.
Yeah.
It's only $900.
If the fantasy series does well,
yeah.
My latest though. Do any of you have VR headsets? I bought an Oculus Rift about a month ago.
I don't have VR yet. I need to get VR. I should get VR and do like a let's play with that. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So embarrassing.
I don't recommend it to any author that wants to succeed because it could ruin your life. It's not much fun.
Oh, well.
That should be their tagline. Oculus VR. It could ruin your life.
A great
the
for
best
good
possible.
a great good podcast stories. So if I ever get a break from it, man.
So, actually, I had my daughter reading the Amazon ad book because she has a degree in internet marketing, and she was cruising along through it and really enjoying the content and the level of detail that you provide in that book. Until she got to the keywords chapter, and that she found to be, she really was hoping to get some information on how to ferret out and determine ideal keywords without using a third-party tool.
Well, the keywords are hard because one of the issues with keywords is it is very easy for people to make analytical decisions about their keywords without sufficient data. And the issue is that I don't know how many of your listeners have heard the term statistical significance, but statistical significance simply means that if you, well, we're all familiar with politics. When they do political polls, who do you like in this party for your whatever, you always see it 472 with a margin of error plus or minus 3%. That's because they are determined that it takes that many for this A-B question, do you like person A or person B, to be statistically significant. If you're doing a larger number of people, more answers to the question, you need larger numbers. Well, think in terms of a keyword. If a person looks at a keyword and says it has 30 clicks and 0 sales, should they kill that keyword? Here's the problem. The answer is, I don't know. Because 70% of conversions now, 65 to 70%, are through KU downloads. Okay, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
The AMS only reports sales. So do you want to make a decision where you're never going to know 30 clicks? You might have had 3 people in KU download your book.
Yeah.
But that information is not ever provided. So you might be converting at 1 in 10. And true, nobody bought the book, but you got 3 new
readers.
What if you had 1 in 8 or 1 in 7? You had 4 people in KU and no sales.
Yeah.
The thing about small number sizes is the next 30 clicks, you might get 2 sales and nobody in KU. But in order to do the math accurately, you need 1,000 clicks. Now, the problem is, well, I say 1,000. Again, it depends. I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds.
Yeah.
Very
more than 10.
More than 10. Very few keywords individually will have enough clicks to do analysis. Now, if a person was studying keywords for many, many months and they were combining their results from 5 or 6 ads over 6 months, and they had 40 million impressions and lots of clicks, it is possible to do analytics on keywords. And there are some people out there who have done that, but most of the average folks out there just won't ever have the volume of data to do a good job. Now, if they've got a list of 1,000 and there's 200 keywords that aren't ever getting any impressions, well, maybe those you take them out because they're not helping. But it's hard to make really good decisions given the data, because conversely, if a keyword has, as an example, 5 clicks and 5 sales, does that mean that it is a great keyword? Well, I actually had an ad that went, well, it wasn't on one keyword, but I had an ad that went 5 for 5. It had 5 clicks on it. It had 5 sales. Now, this was before I learned copywriting, and I use this as an illustration because it puts into perspective how variance works. So at the time, The description converted at 1 in 30. What are the odds if you're betting on horses that you bet on 5 30-to-1 long shots and you go 5 for 5? The math on that is 2.5 million to 1 against. Yet it happened on that one ad of mine. I went 5 for 5. Now that didn't tell me anything about that ad. It didn't tell me that it was good copywriting. It didn't tell me anything. It wasn't a better ad than all my others. It was a series of random events that happened to all come together to my benefit. But people who don't understand variance and statistics can make the same mistake with too little data, thinking something is really good, and then put tons of effort into trying to duplicate that good thing. And all it was variance. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It does.
So you could look at that 5 for 5 and go, all right, let's put $50,000 into that, and then you'd only end up with just those 5 sales, right?
Probably. If you book
Probably not, but I'm just being extreme for the example.
Yeah. But the point is, you shouldn't then change. Like if you did something weird. Another example, a woman who has worked very hard in AMS ads. She got to the point where she was having a little bit of success with them. Her sales were coming up nicely. She was getting good revenue. And because I'm always preaching, if you have an idea, test it. So she came up with this idea. She tested it. And all of a sudden, her book shot to the top of the charts. She had never been in the top 600 Amazon overall in her entire life, or even close. And this book just went through the roof. And for 3 weeks, I mean, I don't know what it did after that, but for a 3-week period, this book was destroying. Well, here's the problem. The thing that she tried had zero bearing on the success of her. It wasn't the ad. The ad didn't do anything. What had happened is her book had been accepted into Amazon Prime. About 12% of the books that go into Amazon Prime, because whatever Amazon does, and I haven't been able to figure it out, so I can't give any guidance on this, but about 12% of the books end up on their little carousel, and that carousel will launch their books into the stratosphere because they get so much exposure. Now, they're not making anything on Amazon Prime, but the fact that they get that exposure and they get those downloads, it shoots their ranking up, and now they're in the top 600, and so they get exposure to organic, and the organic people know nothing about the book being on Amazon Prime, and they're buying the book or downloading it KU.
Gotcha.
So she happened to start this test at the exact time
I think
Amazon put her book in the carousel.
To take us back real fast, because SK was asking the use of third-party apps, like the use of third-party apps for the keywords. Now, these third-party apps, they are useful for what? Analyzing the analytics of these keywords? I mean, because how else are you supposed to get access to the keywords?
I can only speak to, I use KDP Rocket. I love KDP Rocket. Dave Chesson, who is the owner and creator of KDP Rocket, is a very good friend of mine. I mean, we're very good buddies. We are working on a separate project together. So I want everyone to understand that I come at this from a huge bias. Mm-hmm. That being said, I use KDP Rocket to build my list. And the reason I use it is because it saves me an enormous amount of time. It probably takes me less than 5% to say, if I set out a goal, let's say I decide, well, my fantasy series. Okay, I've started this fantasy series.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to build a list for it. I don't have a list, a keyword list for fantasy. It will take me 5% of the time it would take to do it through typical ways, looking up books on, top bestseller lists, trying to do it manually, thinking of keywords. If it takes 14 hours to put together 1,000 words, sort of the manual way, I might be able to do it in 40 minutes.
The other thing about keywords, I just want to make sure we hit this home. The thing about the keywords is it true that you have to make sure the keywords are used in the description as well, right? Is that right, or is that
Okay,
The
well,
myth.
you're confusing two different types of keywords.
You're
One of
thinking
the
of SEO.
Yeah, you're thinking of the SEO keywords that are the 7 keywords you get in your metadata when you're uploading your book, which
Okay.
is different than the thousands of keywords you might use in your AMS ads.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's SEO is an entirely different subject. Nick Stevenson, I think he's got some books on it. He's much more knowledgeable about that
Okay.
than I am. So that's not an area I've really studied.
Okay. All right. Now I have a question for you.
Whew, man,
Yeah.
this is just like a flood, man.
It is,
This
it
is
is.
great.
I hope I'm not overwhelming people.
No,
but
no. I think
this is what
that's,
I'm
I think this
In
is
a
good.
yeah, in a good way though.
Well, good.
Are you a fan of The Watchmen?
The comic book / movie /
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I absolutely, yeah.
Who is your favorite character in The Watchmen?
Oh, gee.
There's been a debate in the chat.
You know what? See, this to me sounds like getting into taking sides. Like, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to tell you my position on the person. I just, this sounds like, because the thing is, in fantasy, especially what's the lit RPG, and those fan bases are passionate, very passionate. The comic book fan base are passionate about what they love, and they can turn on you.
Our fans aren't like that. Our fans are not like that. I guarantee you. There's this
I don't
joke
think
around.
I want to take a position on that or
Okay.
politics or anything that could potentially get me 1-star reviews from people that haven't read my books.
Well,
I'm happy to.
you'll probably get some purchases tonight. I mean, honestly, I feel
that
pretty
would be
curious.
lovely. Well,
All right.
I'm curious. Who's your favorite character?
Rorschach. I think I would have to go with him because I mean he's I don't know. He's like, but he just wants to just. He has a hands-on approach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I got to say, the Watchmen, the thing about that series as far as the comic books is I just loved the art so much. I was a comic book geek a long time ago, back when I think when we opened the shop, X-Men was at 165 was the number on the X-Men.
You got a favorite X-Men? You got a favorite X-Men character?
Yeah, Wolverine's my favorite X-Men character.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean that's not taking too hard a stand. That's like
Oh my
saying,
God, he likes Wolverine.
like saying, and I like Harry Potter. Again, not too extreme there. But the thing about
I'm pro Voldemort, by the way, on Harry Potter. Voldemort. Voldemort should have won. Okay.
I love it. But with the X-Men, my favorite. I mean, I have all the way back to '94, which I think is when the Uncanny X-Men started. But my favorite of all the X-Men is the 165, which was my first X-Men I ever bought. And it's not. There's nothing really significant about it. It's not a valuable book. The story's not one of their best or anything. It's not like 120 and 121 where Alpha Team comes in. There's a lot of better ones, but there's something about that first comic book in a new series. How I don't know. Maybe I'm being too geeky, but I love that 165. And
you're not being too geeky. You're not being too geeky. I like it. I like hearing it.
I have the entire Howard the Duck collection as well.
Oh, whoa! What? Okay, hold on. We'll have to get into that a little bit. But there's something we need to take care of on this show. Something we need to take care of, and it's almost been avoided. Becky.
Is it the poem?
Yes, Becky.
Yeah.
You have been accused of crimes you have committed. Okay. You have committed Facebook court does not overreach. Facebook court does not exaggerate. Mark Zuckerberg came to your post and was like, hate speech. Hate speech. Let me pull up this poem, by the way.
The what?
I'm sorry. Poem. Is poem?
Poem.
It's a poem.
P-O-Y-E-E-E-M.
Poem.
Poem.
Okay.
Okay.
It's Poyem. Poem.
Okay. Now, can you read us this horrible poem? This most racist, vile, blackface on like I don't know how you made it possible for a blackface poem, but you did it. And
No,
Brian
it's
Meek is
terrible.
probably nervous right now. How far is the show going? What's going on here? No, don't worry.
He's not worried because I'm giggling.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example of an open loop. At the beginning of the show, he hinted, and now Rebecca's going to read us a poem.
Yep.
I am? No, okay.
And get us all banned. Woohoo!
How many N words?
Shut up,
How many N words? How many F words? You want to take a gander? Want to take a bet?
I'm going to say 0.
I thought it was.
There's a P word.
One N word.
No, there's an N word. I see one N word, and it ends with a hard R. By the way, go and read.
You told me that it was hat speech. You told me it was about. She got called out for hat speech, which I think is discriminatory.
He lied.
I like hats, so
He
hat
lied.
speech should be supported.
Well,
He lied.
Well, I'll go into that too. Go read us the poem.
Okay. She was bent, broken, just pure white trash, discarded, alone in life, unloved, always knowing strife, pain, hated, never wanted or loved, a mistake from birth, down, out, hope her only vice, relentless, resolve to find more, dying to be loved.
If I may take a moment to analyze the poem,
Go ahead.
it seems to me clearly that you have taken a position in this poem, if one reads between the lines, that you don't think Bernie Sanders can win the Democrat nomination. And I can see why the people are up in arms. That's a very passionate crowd.
Damn it, you're not supposed to tell my secrets.
Well, actually, can I read something that literally just went up in my Facebook group, and it pertains to the copywriting, and it's from a person that read my book and is now a copywriting junkie, because, as I said earlier, I want people to come away from the book seeing how they can use it in their daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just a few lines. May I read this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tom Fowler, who's in my group, first line, copywriting is bae, B-A-E, comma, as the kids say. I don't know what bae means. I think it's the Danish word for poop, but I think bae is actually a word that kids use, mean like baby or babe or something. But anyway, copywriting is bae, as the kids say. I'm using it basically everywhere now. It's definitely made a difference in my work emails. I also use it to help my daughter sell Girl Scout cookies online tonight. 9 boxes sold. It's important to use these principles for book descriptions. I think we're all seeing the value of it, but use it elsewhere too. Even if you're not selling anything, habits are important. That was a post he put up in my group just for the members to show that copywriting works. He sold some Girl Scout cookies.
Well, that's pretty cool. Man.
It is pretty.
Now, Becky,
Yes,
so
sir.
are you serious that this poem got taken down for hate speech? Because I didn't hear anything hatred in that.
Yes, it did.
Huh.
And I
Not
argued
only
with
that-
them all day long.
Not only that, right? You
Yeah.
wrote a post about it being taken down.
Yes,
What happened to
I
that
did.
post?
It got reported too.
Ow.
So that is
Yeah.
so meta.
That is meta. Could it be that you just have a troll who's
It is very possible. I got an email from Facebook that says my post was reported.
Yes.
It wasn't just an algorithm where they
Hmm.
picked up on a word or whatever. So it was reported, but I have argued with them all day long. And finally, I guess an actual person looked at the post and they've let it go.
They let it go?
They let it. Mm-hmm.
So you can have the poem up.
So it's back up.
It is back up.
You can have you can have
You
the
won.
Put it back
You
up.
win.
Yay!
Well,
You
At any
won.
point, I got to ask, at any point in previous episodes of this podcast, have you taken a position on your favorite Watchmen character?
No.
I don't think in the time that I've been on the show, this has never been a topic before.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Which is a good thing because I don't know any of them.
Me neither.
Well, I'm glad that you won, though. The moral of the story is you stuck with it.
No, hold on.
Yes,
hold
I
on.
did. I didn't
But
give
you're not
up.
off the hook.
I argued and argued and yes, I am.
Look,
And it was a really good poem. I like it. I give it 2
Thank
thumbs
you.
up.
there's a poll.
Thank
We
you.
ran a poll
No,
on the
yeah.
hat speech because I didn't want to be accused of hate
we
speech
ran
either.
3.
We ran 3 polls.
We ran 3.
So
this
we're
is
gonna
data.
compare our polls
Yeah.
together, huh? We're gonna pull out our polls and compare them.
I think that's the longest
That-
poll.
That wow.
All right, SK,
This has gone south.
SK, you can go first. What was your because SK you ran a
Jesus,
poll, right?
I'm trying to find it. I'm scrolling through my own
have
fucking
it.
page. I can't
have it.
find it.
Becky, what about
Okay.
yours?
SK's was 92% said Facebook is run by weenies,
Okay.
and 8% said totally guilty. But I know who voted that way on SK's too.
You voted
Okay,
that
well,
way?
And that was
what was the sample size? Let's find out if this was statistically significant. How many people voted?
13.
So there was one person. So
Yeah.
again,
Yes.
this is not statistically significant.
okay. Then the one that you did, Jesse.
On the Dead Man's homepage
There. Uh-huh.
with a sample size of
was-
13. That's weird.
69% said not guilty. 31.
Are you breaking up? You're breaking up. You might be being hacked by the troll.
You hear
Well-
clicking on your phone line?
I would like
No.
to vote. I want to vote not guilty. So
Thank
please
you.
add
Mhm.
add my vote to the data.
And then on mine, there were 16 votes of no and 1 vote of yes.
Who was that vote?
Who is this? It was the same stinker that voted on SK's
Oh,
post.
it was Ralph.
Ralph.
Mm.
Way to go, Ralph.
Well, you think he's voted twice, so you have to take
3
his-
times.
Mhm.
Oh, well,
Yeah, he voted on all 3, and then of course, so did someone else we know
Who could that be?
voted guilty.
Who could that be?
It
It wouldn't be
Somebody's
the,
One of
trying
my-
to get.
one of my co-hosts.
it wouldn't be the judge here, would it? It wouldn't be me.
No,
Wouldn't
he's
be
trying.
somebody
He's trying to throw the vote.
stir up attention for his stupid podcast.
He would never.
I'm trying to practice using hooks. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, you think of hooks in a different sense, though. I'm afraid.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay. That's one question for the guest, for Mr. Meeks. Okay.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
would be like using hooks and all that for like, let's say, blog posts and like articles,
Sure.
because a lot of that, especially nowadays, is like clickbait. A lot of clickbait. Like, how do you feel about clickbait titles and kind of like, is it grimy or is it like fair game? Like, what's going on with that? Like, how do you feel about it?
That's a remarkable question. That is fantastic.
You'll never believe how he'll answer this.
You are not going to believe my answer. Well played. There's across the street from the building I live in, there's a billboard. The billboard says, in quotes, "Trust me, you can sing." End quote. Signed, alcohol. It's a billboard over a liquor store. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, you mentioned clickbait. For people that are listening to this show, that hopefully some will go buy my book, but even if you don't, maybe $9.99, you don't have it right now. That's fine. A great place to start to become aware of the power of copywriting is by reading those posts at the bottom of CNN or what have you that are the clickbaity posts, because there may be times where you just have to find out how Ally McBeal looks today, and so you click.
They sucked me in a few times. It's so stupid.
What you're getting into.
Yeah.
But the power of copywriting. So if you understand that, and then you can think in terms of what's my genre? My genre is horror. Start to ask yourself questions. What brings in a person who likes horror? What would be the clickbait hook that would get me to click? And then it's, don't read this book if you want to sleep ever again. There's an opening hook. Nobody is, don't read this book, if you ever want to get to sleep again. That to me sounds like, and again, I don't read horror genre because frankly, I find it scary. But that would be a hook that I would like to test if I were writing in the horror genre, because it has the potential. Maybe it's not a great hook for your description. I don't know. Maybe it's a great hook for an AMS ad that will get people to click through and read the description. Again, this goes back to me always preaching to test. But for those that feel like copywriting, that's slimy. I don't want to trip people. Manipulative. Well, did you write a good book? Are you proud of it? Do you think that a person who reads the book is going to find it entertaining? Well, then you know what? It's not slimy. If you wrote a horrible book and it's really probably only going to ever get 1 and 2 stars because you really weren't trying to write a good book, then yeah, it's slimy. But I'm proud of all my books. Somebody on Facebook yesterday, I think it was, asked, who is your favorite author of all time? I wrote, me, period. I love the book.
Yeah, you did. That was my post.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And that's true. I am my favorite author of all time. And if the question was, who is the best author you've ever read of all time? The answer is Vikram Seth, who wrote a book called A Suitable Boy. And the second place goes to Elmore Leonard, who passed away a couple summers ago, the finest American writer of dialogue in the last 100 years. That's different. They are better writers than me, but I'm still my favorite.
Hey, makes sense. I mean, you got to have confidence in yourself.
I mean, if you're not gonna like you, then
who else will?
Why
right?
would anybody else?
But it goes back to mindset. Mindset is something that not all authors, but many authors will struggle with. Imposter syndrome. I hear that all the time. You know what? If you've made it through and finished your book, gotten it edited, gotten ready to publish, or have already hit publish, you need to give yourself a high five. Take a moment to appreciate that, because you know what? Very few people make it that far. Now, in the world we live in, where all of our friends are authors, and we have friends that are doing 100,000 a month and all, it can be easy to forget the fact that among your Facebook friends who are not authors, most of them have thought about writing a book at some point. A lot of them have started a book.
What is imposter syndrome for those who don't know?
Imposter syndrome is simply where an author says, "Oh, I'm not a real author. Oh, I sold 100 books, but I don't deserve it. I don't deserve the level of success I'm having." And the reality is, you do deserve it. If you told a story that you want to tell, and somebody else read it and liked it, you're an author. That's the only criteria. You made somebody happy. It's entertainment, and you provided it.
Man. Okay. There's one thing I want to talk about tonight. I did hint at it in the beginning. There's this book out here called How to Destroy a Man Now. This is,
Yeah, it's a real book.
This is a step-by-step guide on how to destroy a man in power. And apparently it's a good seller. Apparently people are buying it and probably using it. Imagine that.
I don't get it.
The hook on this is, it seems like it's very powerful.
I mean, it's only got 5 reviews, so it's not.
No, this has 100.
No.
I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at a rebuttal. How to destroy man in 1 easy step. Is that it? No.
How to destroy a man now, and then in parentheses it says "damn."
Yeah, a handbook.
Okay.
It has 177 reviews, and it has a star and a half.
1 point.
Yeah.
And it's 72 pages.
Yeah.
Because it's not that complicated.
It's not.
Because the target demographic is women, and
They already know.
Yes.
Hey.
You pretty much have it figured out. We're pretty simple. It's like, food.
Yeah. Y'all, men are very simple.
Mm-hmm.
See, there you go. So the point is, she didn't figure out her target demographic, but I can tell you that I could write a better description for her book.
Oh yeah. What would you change?
Well, it's just. I mean, there's no opening hook. It starts with wave of sexual misconduct allegations about powerful men have exploded recently in the media. Example: the news, Twitter, Me Too, etc. That first line isn't a hook. It's horrible.
But the title is a pretty good hook, though.
It's a good title. It's a great title. I give them high marks on that. And it's 150,000. So it may have sold one today.
What if it started with destroy all
probably
men?
Jesse bought it.
I actually no, I didn't buy it. I downloaded a sample which I got to read. Oh yeah, because
Please
I do
don't.
plan on actually going over this book, maybe on a private show or maybe on a public show. We'll see. I want to get Nick
Do I get
Nikita
to read
on.
it out loud?
But the point is, nobody is buying into it. It's got a 1-star review, it's got a couple 5-star reviews, but they're mostly 1-star. And
Now,
so
it could be, but could it be that like men are downvoting it because they don't like that this guide is here, or is who are the 1-star reviewers? I'm curious about.
I don't know. I'm looking at that now, but
M.
it's,
Nelson.
you know what?
There are quite a few that seem to be men.
Yeah.
You think men would object to this subject? I don't know.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't bother me at all. If a woman wants to take me to dinner and destroy me, if she's picking up the check, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I would go to dinner with Angela, confidential PS Side. I assume that she would pay.
Yeah, that's probably a misplaced
Probably not.
question.
A lot of these reviews I'm going over right now are reviewed just because of the title alone, rated a 1 due to its disgusting nature. But the one page I did read.
They probably haven't read it. Yeah, that's probably.
I like this one that says, "So our instincts to go full Mike Pence were correct."
Okay. All right.
It's a good cover.
Now, do you think Amazon would allow how to destroy a woman now?
Yeah, it's up there.
Oh, really?
That's available.
Oh, sweet.
I don't know if it's by the same person, but
Angela
that's what
Confidential.
I clicked on first. Yeah, let me go back to how to destroy a woman, and I think it's it's the same man, and then how to destroy. Yeah, she wrote the woman book too. She wrote them
sweet.
both.
Man, she's playing both sides. Okay.
So,
what's
the answer to?
But what's ironic is the How to Destroy a Woman has a 3.9 average on 5 total reviews versus a 1.4 average on 177 reviews, which tells me from the data and looking at it that most of her reviews are probably not from people that have read it. It looked like it was all men that did. I mean, I only looked at 8 or 9 of them, so again, not statistically significant. But for all we know, this might be satire, and maybe it's a good book. But again,
it probably is satire.
I think the covers are clever. The titles are good hooks. It needs better copywriting. The price points are odd in that the How to Destroy a Woman is $2.99 and the man is $6.81.
Yeah, what is
well,
that
women
number?
always have to pay more, don't they?
They do always have to pay more. So, but
there's no pockets in it either.
Is there something about that? Is there something about that 681? Like, what, am I missing a joke?
There's
there?
only 31 pages in the woman book, though.
Well,
Yeah. So I'm thinking, what is the answer in the?
Well, the
what is the process
681
of?
is likely that the author is not U.S. based, and so they didn't get the version right, and so you're getting a currency exchange version. It's probably $6.99 in Germany or something, and so that's likely a conversion.
Well, I could say this: we got to find out how to reach that author and have her come on the show.
How to what?
How to reach the author? How to get in contact with the author?
Good luck with that.
Does she? It's a pen name.
She doesn't have She doesn't have a.
Bio.
She doesn't have an author page, or she doesn't have a picture on it.
There's nothing on it.
Yeah, you know what? Book doesn't bother me at all. I say if it might be funny, it could be satire.
It probably is
actually
satire.
not.
It's
I
not.
happen to know that it's not satire.
Oh.
Otherwise, it would be doing a lot better.
Again,
Was it used? Okay, hold on. I really want to dig into this book on a later episode, like I said, and probably want to have Nick Rekieta or some other attorney on to talk about, about how fucked up this is and how it could be used as a weapon.
But you don't know. You haven't read it yet. I say you hold off until you've read the book.
Exactly. Right now what I'm planting the seed for a later episode. So it's coming.
That's called an open loop. That's good
open
copy
loop.
talking.
See? Copy talking. Yeah. I like the phrase copy talking. That sounds weird. Copy talking. Copy talking.
It does. I just coined it, and so I'm gonna have to get that copywritten.
Copy talking. Copy talking. Oh man. Oh. Okay. Wait. Okay. Because we're kind of at the end here. Before we go, I always ask this question to all my guests. I don't know if you're a horror fan, but do you have a favorite horror movie?
Horror scares me. I can.
Well, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Probably. I know it's the point. Yeah. It's not something that I enjoy, but I do. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be the Halloween 1 through 3, only because when I was in high school, junior in high school, I ran around with a circle of friends. These 2 women in the group were seniors, and we did a Halloween 1, 2, and 3 marathon when the 3rd one came out on tape.
Yeah.
Because I'm old. And so one Saturday afternoon, we started watching around 4 in the afternoon. And the thing is, myself and my 2 other best guy friends, none of us had seen any of them. The 2 girls and then their younger sister, they had seen all 3. So we're watching the first one. And of course, we're in high school, so we're being cool. And we noticed, because we pick up on things, that the women, the girls, we're in high school, the girls, women, I don't know, they would start to get like freaking out before the scary thing happened. So it was a poker tell. They did this all through the first movie and all through the second movie. And then we get to the end of the 3rd movie, calm. It's like, oh, they're there, nothing. We are fine. Jason, at the end of the 3rd one, comes through the window at the end, and the women did not get freaked out. They had planned it ahead of time to train us through the first 2 movies so that when the third one and he comes through that, we wouldn't be ready for it. And the 3 of us screamed and freaked out. It was the most amazing practical joke, scariest thing. They
set you up?
They set us up, but I mean, we're talking through 2 entire movies. This is a 4-hour setup to get us to the point where we lost our shit at the end. That's
impressive, actually.
That is too.
Oh my God. It was brilliant. And again, this is just another fine example of why women are smarter than, because
smarts and cunning aren't really the same thing.
Well,
that's a whole other episode.
Hey.
Call it what you will. They got us. And so that would be my vote, is the Halloween 1 through 3 as a collection, because that was kind of a fond memory. And we had it was a great time.
Not to bust your balls or anything. You said Halloween, you said Jason. Now, do you mean Halloween or do you mean like Friday the 13th?
I mean Friday the 13th. Sorry.
Okay.
Friday the 13th.
All right. You're good. You're good. Okay. Man, Mr. Meeks, this has been a great show. I have learned so much. SK's learned so much. Becky's learned much.
Absolutely.
The chat loved this.
Well, as much as I can learn.
I hate it.
Well, I hope you'll buy the book and give it a try. And if anybody's interested in my course, I would say that the course is not for people who have yet to read the Mastering Amazon Ads book. It is intended for people that are already doing Amazon ads, have read the book, and are looking to get sort of beyond that with analysis and copywriting, things of that nature. So that's on teachable.com.
All right. Well, ladies, gentlemen, if you made it this far and you haven't pressed the thumbs up button already, go ahead and do so. And subscribe to the channel. And, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live show, 9:30.
And can I put in a plug for tomorrow?
Yeah, put a plug for tomorrow.
No.
Yes.
Shut up, Becky.
I override. Veto.
I hate you, and I mean that in the nicest way.
We get along so well.
Feel the love in the room.
We need you to stop fighting. Just stop fighting.
Thursday night, Real Monsters. We will be talking about the Green River Killer. It's going to be an amazing story.
And SK knows him personally.
I once again have crossed paths with this particular serial killer, and that will.
You need to move, dude.
Hey, these guys are all caught now.
That's your hook right there. That was genius. Once again, I've crossed paths with this serial killer. Find out more on Thursday. That is copywriting genius.
There you go.
Look at that.
Stop telling me he's genius, damn it. God.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna buy that book. All right.
Absolutely.
Ladies, gentlemen, y'all take it easy.
Good night.
Bye.